Here's the real bad one, though, because we talk about safety. So here we go. There goes Mark. And look at that ball. Just doink. You're like, Matt's killing me with slow motion. I had to do it, though. Come on. I got to do some homework.
I'm gonna end this one real quick. I'm gonna end this real quick. This is super simple. We're not going to have a 7-page rule book for zone 4 that goes through the 27 scenarios of if your ball gets to within 3.5 inches of the competitor's head beside you, you're penalized. It's never going to be like that.
So what's the rule then?
Get your 25 reps and get out of there.
Just got off the line with Yancey. To bring you up to speed, there was some incidents at the last DECA in NorCal. 2 athletes were disqualified. Yancey was dealing with a death in the family at the time, and then he was working another event. So we were finally able to get him on this call. A lot of rule changes and clarifications. Some I agree with, some I don't. Let's get to it. Away we go. Yancey, we're doing it. Everyone is like, man, we got to hear from Yancey. You and I already talked a little bit before about what you've been going through. So here we are to get to the slightly less important things in life, like rule books and podiums and medals. So I'm just going to kind of give you the floor and let you do your thing, and then I'll interrupt and ask questions. How about that? Because I know you got a lot to say.
You said medals, dude. You see that 2 Bears 5K medal? You said medals. It made me think about it. I had this on the ready. We're going to start off with a little 2 Bears. We're going to bring some fun energy. I know your comedic background. I love comedy. The Comedy Mothership is here in Austin. It's now live music, not only live music, but live comedy capital of the world. I got to hang out with Jelly Roll and Bert and Tom. Tony Hinchcliffe was there. If you watch the freaking Tom Brady roast, Tony Hinchcliffe burned that place to the freaking ground. If you haven't seen a Tom Brady roast, go freaking watch it. Netflix is a joke, and 2 Bears put it on. We were able to kind of help host it on the floor of the Rose Bowl. The next one's going to be in Austin, Texas. It was amazing. But yeah, so was not able to make NorCal, and we've got a phenomenal staff. They're absolutely amazing, and sometimes they get put in tough situations. And I'm going to start out by saying that I'm going to fall on the sword and say that I'm the main reason they were put in a tough situation. I'm not there, and our rule book was not written in a way, it wasn't cleaned up enough in a way. And we'll give the little scoop right now. The rule book is just now releasing, probably as right about the time you release this podcast, Matt, everybody will be able to go and see the updates. Probably not just yet. Nelson and I are on a little timeline. He's trying to get it done, perfect timing. So
when this call ends, I can.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's fine. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So we got a fun looking little chart that's got all the rules that they're written, and then we got a chart that everybody can print up. So we're having some fun with it. But long story short, getting back to what I was saying, I left our team hanging, and Spartan is really good, believe it or not. I know they catch a lot of heat, but they're really good about trying to get people cross-trained. Spartan, Tough Mudder, Trail, DECA, you get enough people cross-trained. So what that means sometimes is people that are there that don't have a ton of experience, and you go to the rules. That kind of your fail-safe, and it's like, I'm going to say it like it is. The rule book was technically written on that day, now that it's now been cleaned up, to where we could send your ass packing for anything. It doesn't matter if you looked at somebody the wrong way, we could send you packing. And that's my bad. In the past, we had situations where we'd say, wait a second, this happened. Let's go back and talk about it, and we'll give a sensible penalty that the punishment meets the crime, for lack of better terms. And it just didn't happen on that day. And we had the Jessica situation, dropping the ram, DQ'd, and Mark Polson missing the rep, DQ'd. And I want to go ahead and say right now, early on in the podcast, that we've talked to every athlete. I've spent hours and hours talking to people. That's what I like to do. Here's the one thing that I like us to be really good at is, no matter what the situation, especially the way DECA is built, is that we're a different brand. We have 330 CEOs on the DECA team, our gym owners. We have thousands of coaches and hundreds of thousands of members that are on our team. They're our brand. They're like 1,500 plus DECA events have happened inside brick and mortar gyms, club studios, and boxes across the country. That's 99% of the reason we exist. So when you go to a DECA Fit, 75% of the ticket sales are coming from those gyms. It's a beautiful concept. It's actually working. 4 years ago, I was like, I hope this freaking works, but it's working now. So we always try to sit back and say, what would our community, our family, how would they want us to handle this? So we went back and we made some decisions, and I'll go ahead and say it right here. We're not going to disrupt the podium, but Jessica is going to get the same penalty. Her time on the leaderboard will be going back to the Robert Killian 5-second penalty. Jessica's going to get a 5-second penalty. So her time will have 5 seconds added to it. She will show on the leaderboard being the actual second place person, but we're not going to we're not going to take Michelle and Julie's deltas and take their prize money, because they celebrated that podium. I talked to both of them. They were soul crushed for Jessica. They're like, I don't even feel comfortable going up on this podium because I don't want her going home. But it is what it is, man. I'm not going to throw our team under the bus. I'm throwing my ass under the bus because I left our team hanging with a rule book that said,
and you listen, and you're a good leader, and that's what good leaders do. And I talked to Jessica, and when she said, I said, can we get on the horn? I want to talk about what happened. And she said, I'm talking to Yancey first. And in my mind, I was like, I know Yancey. He's not going to send her packing. And she wrote me back and said, nothing's changing. And I was like, oh, and I really thought like, you know what, maybe he's going to stick with that, or maybe he's just had too much going on and he's going to do more before he does what I would call the right thing, air quotes, for those listening and not watching. Well, so let's go ahead and get to Mark, okay? Because people are waiting on that piece. Okay, let's get to Mark, and then let's go back and talk new rules.
Yeah, I forgot to include Mark. So the new rules, and we don't have to go down to each zone in fine detail, but going off of the approximate amount of time it takes to complete a rep in that zone, we came up with the time penalties. Zone 10 is a 20-second time penalty for a missed rep. And it says in there that we have the right to review DECA generated or DECA organized video or live feed.
So let me cut you off there.
Live feed.
So this means if Robin does it, who works for you, or Jason and his team do it because they're working under you, but you're not going to take, hey, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my kid, my son, because that's what we ended up with Spartan, was the public, because you're going to get all kinds of stuff, right?
No, we don't want, we want people there enjoying the race.
And this was honestly, this was one of my questions. What if you got it from me? I'm a media person. You trust me. What if I was there filming something?
The official rule book says, and I don't want to dive into this for 15 minutes, but the official
we don't have to solve this second. I thought of it.
It says DECA. It's a great point. It says DECA generated or DECA organized live feed. That's where it lives right now. That could expand for long term, but what I don't want is to create a plan to where I've got freaking 1,000 spectators there with their freaking phones, and I'm going to go back and the spectators just disperse and like, let me go see if I can find something wrong. We don't want that, and we're not going to.
But I did think of it, not because I'm so special, but just because. Let's say I was filming something, right? Let's say the example of another thing that kind of got wonky, but you guys fixed the weights on the sled in the finals, right? If I was the only one who had like, we're not sure, everyone's saying it, Matt, do you have that? And you might ask me. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want to open you up because you could have anybody say, well, actually I have a blog or whatever, but I'm just asking.
Here's the deal. Like I told the team, and we kind of all agree on this, is like there is no such thing as getting any rule book 100% bulletproof and getting everything perfect. But we're better today than we were last week. On Mark, for example, Mark's going to get a 20-second penalty, bumps him down to fourth like he would have been with any penalty that he would have gotten because he beat Jack by like a freaking half a body length. And I want to say something here that's so important. There is nothing more magical than, let's take post-World Championships, when I'm on the phone with the ladies, Camilla and Dr. Alondra Greenlee and all the people. And then I'm on the phone with Michelle and Julie and Jessica and Mark. Let me tell you something, how these calls go behind the scenes. Amazing salt of the earth people that when we have a conversation with them, they're like, it's a beautiful thing. It's like old school, sitting on the coffee shop and having coffee together. And And they're all like, oh my gosh, to hear Michelle and Julie say, I'm so glad this is the way it's working out. We feel terrible for Jessica. Or Mark's like, yeah, dude, I freaking missed a rep. To our bad, what we're going to do to make an adjustment is for the elites, let's say that first male wave that goes through where we have the badasses and the first female wave, we're going to start putting staff members there. For the first 7 or 8 people, like what they do at the stadium race, staff members that are like, because God bless our freaking volunteers, dude. But, and I know I can speak for High Rocks right now. We're behind the scenes saying, let's be honest here. Fingers crossed. I hope we have enough volunteers show up today. It's a tough world out there. So we're freaking bowing down to them when they show up and trying to take 30, 45 minutes to teach them how to do it. So we're going to kind of take a little pressure off of them for the people competing for prize money and clean that up a little bit. Once you get past the first 7 or 8, things can relax a little bit and regular volunteers can jump in. But so Polson's going to be in 4th, but we wanted Jessica and Polson's time to be like Jack and I talked about. It's like when you get a penalty and it meets the crime, it's like it doesn't completely flip the leaderboard upside down. It's like, wow, 5 years from now, why was somebody 10 minutes down the line when it's a 20, 30-second penalty? It meets the crime, and it's like in the NFL, NBA, and MLB, all the sports, you get a penalty. A holding penalty is worse than offsides. And unnecessary roughness is worse than a holding penalty. We can have different penalties, and that's what we have.
But it takes an awful lot to get thrown out.
Yes, it's Ron Artest to get your ass thrown out. That's the only way you're going to get. You got to jump up in the stands and start fighting somebody or trip somebody. Exactly. We don't want to be in the business of DQing people. But again, for our poor staff, that's kind of what I set them up for. So my apologies to them, dude, because we got a great staff. But yeah, if you go Ron Artest mode, we'll kick your ass out. But it's going to take a lot to get DQ'd. Now, with that said, we are taking like in the zones, for example, if you flat out, like there's going to be an 80% rule. If you decide that, you know what, I'm going to try to bail out of here super early, which I don't think any elite would ever do, but it does say in the rule book now, if you fail to complete 80% of the zone, let's say the rower, and you bomb off at 399, we can DQ you for that. We can absolutely DQ your ass for that. If you skip a large number of reps, meters, or cows, if you complete less than 80%. So the rule book will say that. It'll be a much smaller penalty if you miss like 1 rep or somewhere in that range leading up to 20%.
All right. Well, listen, I did some homework and made some clips, and I want to be able to use them. So hang on. Oh, shoot. Hang on. Don't say nothing until we look at it, because I got a couple of things here.
Yep.
Specific example. And, of course, now I'm all fucked up. Where'd it go? That's Tia. Oh, I got to unlock. Sorry. I'm a little boomer moment here. Hang on. Where the heck did it go, dude? I can't. Okay, here we go. I called it Yancey. Oh, I called it Yancey, which is a good name for a video. All right, so I'm going to go right to this thing because I'm on it. Present video file. Present.
D nice.
Is there a D nice here?
Balake.
Yeah, all the AA runs in the world will never be
the same.
Will never be the same.
I heard the other day that there has not been a kid named Karen in like 5 years. Nobody's named their daughter Karen in like 5 years. Yeah. We got what do we have? We got a little Deca Zone 1 right here.
Now we're gonna watch Nelson do what we all think is the right thing here. There he goes. The ram is dropping. Oh, hey, come back. Would you do that? Why don't you fix that little ram? All right. You see that?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's hard to pull off, but it's beautiful. You got to get loud and in charge. You got to get loud and in charge. Okay,
so let's start there, my friend. Whoa, that's not good. Let's start there. Now, hang on. I want to know what the rule is, what the judges can and can't do, and does it change for the last station? or does it not change for the last station, or they just asked out if they go short reps?
Technically for safety reasons. The only reason, let's be honest, from the optics, like let's say freaking ESPN's got the cameras on. I love freaking the throw on the ram is awesome. It's beautiful for freaking, I mean, I did it back in the day one time with Nick Riker when we won freaking Knoxville, by the way. But for safety reasons, calmer heads prevails. Like, listen, we got to protect our people. Those things bounce. So it's in the rule book, it's a safety violation. And that right there, moving forward, is a 30-second penalty for safety violation. It's like, yeah, technically the ram doesn't count. The rep doesn't count, but we're not going to assess you a penalty for the missed rep. We're assessing you a safety penalty, which is bigger than a no rep penalty. So that's the, like if you leave one rep short, that's a rep penalty. If you drop the ram, it's a safety penalty.
So if I leave one rep short, what is the staff charged with doing? If Ryan jumps off the step overs, what are they called?
Box step or jump overs.
Box step overs. If he leaves one early, the judge is instructed to do what? Yell at him, go get him, put his hands on him.
The judge is instructed to, if you call Rich back,
yeah,
which is hard to pull off, and Rich comes back and does that rep, then we're good to go.
If he doesn't,
that rep. Yeah, the rep. He's like, that's only 19. He comes back and does it. But if that doesn't happen, or let's say he is verbally communicated with and he bails out, then he's going to get, in this case, zone 3. That would be a 10-second penalty. It would be a 10-second
Okay, what's the difference between a 5 and a 10er?
Zones 1, 3, and 4 move pretty damn fast. Those are 10-second penalties. Zones 8 and 10, which are also rep-based, is a 20-second penalty. It takes approximately 100% longer to get to those zones. Zone 9, which is the down and back 5 times, okay, takes much longer to do one of those reps. That's a 1.5-minute penalty if you don't complete all your down and backs. You've got specific penalties for zones 2, 5, and 7, and you've got specific penalties for 6. I don't want to go down through every single detail with those, but yeah, they'll be in the rule.
So those are all in the book. Those are all in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if this is done by the time I do it, I'll pull it up here real quick for a nice little pretty graphic. Now, again, I know you're saying we're not going to get into every single weed here, and I know there's always going to be issues, but I do got to ask you, because this is what the people count on me for. The way we get in trouble with this, and what we've seen people do in the past in obstacle, and we listen, we hope it doesn't happen, but people do cheat. We're not a perfect world. So the old, hey, I didn't hear them, right?
If you didn't hear them and it gets annotated that you get a penalty, that's on your bad. You know, if you,
I'm still responsible for counting my reps. I'm still always responsible for counting my own reps.
There could be a case. There's no way I'm going to say we're going to be perfect. There could be a case where a judge, and even a staff judge, could do it. It could happen. I'm not going to pretend that they actually don't yell at that person. Don't yell verbally loud where they could easily have heard. Maybe they briefly mention it lightly or whatever, and that gets out of there. And then we have a little bit of a, man, I didn't hear you tell me I didn't have a rep. So absolutely, it's always good to be counting your own reps. OCR report, there could be a race where we don't have a single video rolling. We could be in that situation at a future DECA this year. It could happen. So yeah, this will never be 100% black and white.
So again, hate to be this guy, but I got to be this guy. What Mark was saying was, my judge told me to go. My judge told me to go.
Go back if you want to go back and watch the video. That his judge wasn't telling him to go, but
I'm saying, what if they say that, and the judge does say, actually, I did. I guess we both miscounted. So let's just, I'm just throwing it. Okay, let's throw this out here. Jack doesn't like that Mark caught him. He goes, Yancey, I don't think Mark did all the reps. He goes back and you count the reps and they're short. And he says, yeah, but the judge told me to go. What was I supposed to do? Your answer is do one more anyway, because you're not at the right amount.
First off, it's not going to be 100% solution, but having staff there to count reps and monitor that. Provides us you have a lot of comfortable people that don't mind getting loud with the people, really trying to make sure those first 7 or 8 people get that shakes out exactly how it should go. That helps clean up a lot. And if there's any issues come up, if we have DECA generator, DECA organized video, we can go to that and pan it out. And am I going to say there could never be another situation happen where that person thought he was 19, that person thought he was 20, and the judge, so you got 2 people that think they're on 20, the athlete and the judge, and they both get it wrong, and the judge bails, and the athlete bails and judge doesn't call him back. That could absolutely happen again. And if we look at evidence and we're like, hey, I'm not for sure, what I'm not going to allow is to be bombarded by 27 people. It's like, you better go. We will calm our heads will prevail. We will go back. We'll watch the video. And it could mean that person gets a 20-second penalty in zone 10. Yeah, there's no other way to say that right now.
So this is what I'm hearing, and I'm saying it loud for the people in the back. If you're an athlete, you count your own reps, and race brain is not an excuse. And if you got to do fucking 1 extra, do 1 extra. You know what I mean? Like that's what you got to do. And you're racing for money, and it's real important, but that's part of being an athlete, right?
Yeah.
Like, so the answer, what Anthony said was, Mark said, I felt like I was drunk, and he's like, well, that's not our fault. You need to slow down and do the app and do it right. Like, it's not your fault that you felt that way. You've got to do the app right. You've got to do the rep correctly.
Yeah. And poor Jessica, same thing. She was dying, and she did not purposely throw that thing down. She was literally dying. She told me, she's like, I couldn't even see straight.
But Mark's reps, like, he sort of did this half step back and an up, and it should have been like, hey man, do it again. Like, you know what I mean? So this is part of the thing that came up that we've got to distinguish. Somebody told me that you said just keep counting the same number, and I thought, well, they might just think you're wrong. You need to say the words no rep. So what is the no rep call going to be?
Of course, you have to, again, and I don't want to spend an hour talking about this, but here's
I do. Everybody wants to know, Yancey.
I'm not talking about how we call no reps for now. I'm just telling you right now, because there's so much fun. There's so much good stuff we can talk about. Not that this is bad, but I will tell you how it is. Sometimes when you're dealing with a person that's never judged before, because sometimes that's the situation we're in. We don't have a shit ton of money to pull them in a day before and go take them through formal training. We might be in a CrossFit situation one day, and they don't even get it right all the time. But where we're at right now, sometimes you come up with solutions for a judge that can make it easier on them versus trying to, oh my God, did they have 1 no rep or 2 no reps or 3 no reps? If you stay on the same, I've had judges before that it helped them. If they stay on the same number and don't count that one, and they just count, let's say number 6 again, it really dumbs it down and makes it a lot easier for some people. That's all. That's the only reason that's ever been said. Does that make sense? Versus,
it makes sense. I don't necessarily agree with it though, because you heard Mark say that. Mark said he said 5, and I looked at him and said, "You mean 6?" Which, right? Like maybe he shouldn't. Yeah. Maybe he shouldn't be talking to the judge that way. But I think
here's the deal. We've got. There's 1,000 beautiful people out there that have all the ideas of how to fix this. Here's the reality. On game day, what happens? And we're going to try to fix this and help fix it a lot with the staff taking care of the people that are fighting for prize money. But right now, and this is our bad. But right now, you have people that you're just trying to. We're going to be better off if we have somebody there that can simply count to 20 or 25 or 30. They have that ability. We're better off than if we don't have them. So, and then you get them coached up the best we can.
Well, then the athletes need to know that piece. Again, just like you're talking about the rule book, being able to point to it, you need to tell the athletes that. So they don't think they're just, if I'm there and somebody says 5 twice, I might think they lost count. So the athletes need to know that piece.
Okay. I get it. I get it. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The athletes do know that what we're trying really hard to do is make sure we have enough judges, and it's challenging. Some people got a lot more judging experience than others. And it's just, it's a unique situation. As imperfect people failing forward every day, we'll be better in Austin than we were in NorCal. That's for sure.
All right, let me pull up the other one. Speaking of
definitely having ways to really track that, like in zone 9, we use the clickers, but the reason we use the clickers in zone 9 is because between reps, it could be 30, 45, 50 seconds, and it's really easy to forget versus when you're counting really fast. But those really fast reps are also tough live to keep track of no reps. Okay, what do we got here? We got,
okay, so here we got, I want to know what the ruling is on these, on these balls.
There is, I can already tell you.
So here we got a ball that he just threw down, right?
This is what happened. You got to check this out.
Let me finish. And here's your judge. He just kind of collects it, but he doesn't say it's bad, which is like, again, you got new rules. So here's the real bad one though, because we talk about safety. So here we go. There goes Mark. And look at that ball. Just doink. You're like, Matt's killing me with slow motion. I had to do it though. Come on. I got to do some homework.
I'm gonna end this one real quick. This is super simple. We're not going to have a 7-page rule book for zone 4 that goes through the 27 scenarios of if your ball gets to within 3.5 inches of the competitor's head beside you, you're penalized. It's never.
So what's the rule then?
Get your 25 reps and get out of there. If we see you try to purposely hurt somebody with the ball, you could be penalized or DQ'd. If a ball rolls over and makes contact with Glenn Race's shoulder, nothing's going to happen. It's awesome. And I like that we have a tiny bit of NASCAR and WWE action. If that ball rolls over.
Are you sure you don't want to back that statement up at all? Because you will get, I'm telling you, man, I'm here to have you win, brother.
Here's the deal. I don't care. Here's the deal. For 4 years, this is what happens. For 4 years, what you just saw has been happening, and it's been freaking beautiful with not a single issue. But now 27,000 people have gone through and picked the OCR reported video. And it's like, well, we better create a bunch of new rules on zone 4 because that ball almost went over there and made contact with that other athlete. Not going to happen. I don't care if a soft little medicine ball that's built like a baby's toy rolls into the competitor's arm over there. It's just not, we're not going to create a rule that says that the ball has to be left lifeless and sitting there, and you better keep your hands on it until it's not rolling anymore, or you can't leave the zone. I'm not going to do that.
So I'm not asking you to say inches. I'm saying if I'm the rule maker, when finished with the station, place the ball next to you. Now, if it rolls away, that's one thing. But throwing it off the target, and I'm behind you, and I get up and I start running, I could fucking eat it on a concrete floor.
Yeah, that could have happened in any race over the past 4 years. Luckily it hasn't. Yeah, luckily it hasn't.
All right, dude.
And here's the deal.
The same way you're asking him to place the ram down nicely, just place it nicely. That's all.
I'm not going to put a 55-pound ram bouncing around, smashing into somebody's leg in the same category as a soft 20-pound medicine ball that's rolling across the floor that somebody could trip on. It's like that you realize how many, this is DEKA indoors. There's 47,000 ways to get hurt in there. We could list them.
Okay. Listen.
I mean, you know what? This time next year, there might be something in there. The 4 could become a debacle. All of a sudden, people could say, well, there's no rules for 4. So we're just to start slinging these things all over the place. And then we'd have to go in and clean 4 up. Hopefully we don't have to. So that's where we're at.
All right, listen, I know you a really long time, and my job is to ask these questions. But as a journalist, our sport is too small for me not to have really good friends like you. So when I say I'm here to make you win, like, you believe me, right? Like, I'm not just like, I'm going to be a robot and ask Yancey questions. Like, I want to see DEKA come out of this great.
Absolutely.
Like, and like, that's why I talk to these athletes to see how they felt and how they talk to you. It's not let's light Yancey up. Like, anybody we talk to, what's the first thing they say? Man, do I love Yancey, what those guys are trying to do. And then XYZ happened.
Here's what I do. And there's no perfect research project for this, but every single decision I ever try to make, I always try to make it actually happen where I get a bunch of people around me involved in decision making, or I pretend that, okay, 1,000 people were here. My gut tells me that if 1,000 people were saying, hey, help us come up with a decision, do you want us to have meticulous details about every simple thing, like the dumbbells have got to go in perfect alignment back inside the red square. And just like if they're 1 inch off, or if you slide them in slightly, or if that ball is moving a little bit afterwards, they would say, Yancey, I understand why you guys did what you did. Not dropping a heavy 44-pound ram from up here bouncing around is way different than all the other situations where technically something could happen. There's nothing more dangerous. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Let's do it. There's nothing more dangerous. There's nothing more dangerous in those zones. If you were at DECA World Championship last year and you watched DECA Mile Teams Championship, Mike Ryan, who's a good friend of mine, NFL sideline reporter, said, Yancey, I've been in ESPN, around ESPN a long time. There is nothing more exhilarating and exciting that I've ever watched than DECA Mile Teams Championship with a bunch of fast and furious cyborgs doing it. And let me tell you, there's nothing going on with or without dropping rams that's more semi-dangerous. I'll go to the point where I hope this gets us on somebody wanting to video us and get this shit on live TV, because it's that amazing. Nothing more dangerous than the athletes flying in and out of those zones. Trust me, Kevin Gregory running past Bethany McChesney, and both of them are going 90 miles an hour. That's way more dangerous than the little med ball rolling across the floor that might make contact with somebody. So what will happen if we start policing this? It was like, yeah, DECA Mile Teams is, oh my God, I went back and watched that video at Worlds, and it's NASCAR WWE. And we freaking love that. And I hope freaking Red Bull and Netflix and all the people wanting great content see that it's badass as well, because it is amazing. And there's some fast and furious stuff. Life is a little dangerous sometimes. So I don't want to over police it, because again, I think the most of those 1,000 people we're talking to is like, we don't want you to over police this either. So I always put that in as a factor. It's kind of like when I said, if those 1,000 people were there, they probably would have said, let's don't send Mark and Jessica packing. Let's come up with something sensible and then clean up the rule book afterwards. So we've got something really strong for your awesome team to lean on if things happen in the future.
All right. Before we wrap up, just a little recap. If you're a med ball or you're Ron Artest,
this is way too short.
Sorry you caught strays on this podcast. if you're Ron Artest or you're a med ball, you caught a lot of strays.
Oh, shit.
The cyborg counter surprisingly low. We only heard one cyborg, so drink if you're playing the Yancey Says Cyborg. If you want to talk some more, Yancey, you just said it's way too short. I got time. I wanted to get the big ones out of the way, and those were the big ones, especially because I bothered to do homework and make a slow-mo video. What else do you want to cover about
I want to go to the real meats and the potatoes that Jessica, I hope you're listening to this. I apologize. I apologize that you did not get to enjoy your moment on the podium. We will get you a silver Delta, but I think she actually had a kid that was there, and just when friends and family member are there and that kind of stuff happens, it rips my freaking insides out. And in this case, I wasn't there to help, deal with whatever was going on, but it just tears me up when somebody is in that situation and they don't get to enjoy that podium. Because as she said, I'm getting older. I don't know if I'll ever make a true podium again. So girl, we're going to get you a silver Delta, and I freaking hope you put that on your wall proud, and we'll make you look good as well, my friend. So and shout out to all the cyborgs. I'm going to say it 5 more times. Shout out to all the freaking cyborgs for showing up, because there's another reason we like to give the athletes a voice is 5,000 people aren't watching that OCR Report video live feed if it wasn't for all the fast people showing up. We exist, and we created DECA for the people that are 100 pounds overweight that can come walk the whole course, and they finish it just like Jessica and Glenn Race and all the cyborgs do. But for the high level athletes, when you show up, people line around those zones, and they watch because you're fast, and that's amazing. So anyway,
just what did transpire between the first time you talked to Jessica and this call and the second call you had and coming to this conclusion? Because again, everybody felt like, let's not give her a felony. Let's give her a misdemeanor. Because the first time you said it didn't change.
I didn't say that. I was at Two Bears working the event, and I did not have enough time. So this is where Yancey was, and I felt kind of bad about it. More of those coming, by the way. Austin Spartan's becoming even more of an event company. God, that was fun. We could spend 5 minutes. We got to spend a few minutes at the end talking about the Two Bear event because it was so amazing. But I didn't have time to sit down and have long talks with Jessica and Mark and Michelle and Julie and all the people and all the staff. We were working our butts off. So that's our bad. Normally things like this would have been handled a little sooner, but over the last couple of days, I was able to have some phenomenal back and forth communication with Mark and Jessica and others. And we just decided on landing on this decision. So I apologize for making people happy, people wait on this a little bit, but just know, everybody out there watching, we have had communication. I out of respect, communicated with all those people before I came on this podcast.
No, I think when you said that, I'm like, I assume you talked to them. Do you want to have them go ahead and update the book, and I can say it's live, the Zendesk?
Yeah,
is it on the Zendesk, by the way? Where's it going to be? Is it where?
Go to, it'll be in the Zendesk, and you can find it in our in the rule book on the bottom of the homepage. You can find the rule book down there. It's going to be in section 4. You'll see penalties. And then there's going to be a link that goes to a really fun chart that we will be keeping in the warm-up area. You can print those up and study them if you want. But there's also down in the change log, there's an appendix. But go to that link and you can see the fun chart. I'm the type, I like a visual. You can read down through all the verbal written, but to have that visual that Jack and I put together once I came up with the penalties. But let me ask Nelson real quick while we're live. So yeah, the chart will be there. Listen, I want to give a shout out to, because again, when a situation like this happens and you've got new staff rolling around, cross training and whatnot, when I put somebody in a bad situation because the rule book isn't up to speed, it's a tough situation to be in. It's not like we have rogue staff members. It's just sometimes you're like you got a lot going on. You're running an entire event and you got to make quick decisions. And I'm the first one to raise my hands. Like sometimes those decisions aren't maybe the best thing we could have done. But just to Brian and Nelson, Robin, Cynthia, Preston, Arlene, our DECA HQ staff, our freaking Europe team, Emily and Matthew, our new Australian team. We've had the events down in Australia now. Declan and Russ, our Canada team, Nick and Tammy, Amber and Zach. Fun things coming, some fun news coming in Canada. To JP and team at RAM, dude, what we're doing, and I've got probably 3 calls a day with gyms in Ireland wanting to affiliate, and JP and the guys at RAM are helping lead that. And I want to stress this because I love any brand. Here's the deal. I'll say it. People take note of how many times I say this now, because this is my favorite saying. Listen, we're in the business of dealing the world's most powerful drug: fitness, movement, and exercise. We've all seen it change and save lives, and that's exactly why we do what we do. So to any event company out there that's getting people's asses to a start line, props. We're just a little different. Our big event, when people think of our big event, they think the convention center event. Our big events happen every single weekend, anywhere from 10 to 40 of them across the United States and the world, where 50 to 150 plus people walk into a gym and we hang a medal around their neck because they did a DECA Strong teams, DECA Mile teams, or the Ruck Division. That's our big event. That community that's holding a Spartan DECA event, that's what we flat out consider our biggest events. They happen every freaking weekend. So a shout out to our community. And when I said we have 330 CEOs on our team, that's because we do. They own this brand. Wow, we're backwards. They own this brand in their community. They're the reason Spartan freaking comes to town whenever they want to bring Spartan DECA to town. And we love that. And we added 15 new gyms in April. So just thank you for all the support. Everybody at NorCal, 75% of them, 75% of the people in Austin, they'll be from one of our Texas gyms in Austin, coming in from Texas gyms. Most of the tickets sold are people that are a member of that gym, or those members put their coaching hat on and invited their friends in, family members. So that's really why we exist, to give people that have never had their start line their sport and their opportunity to compete and become a better version of themselves.
So the rule book is the March 5th version, and the penalty, it's still not on 4.2. It just has the thing about not wearing a chip. So it hasn't been updated, it looks like, the PDF.
They said within the hour, folks. So depending on, you haven't obviously released this yet. So within the hour, it's 9:48. I don't know if that means within 60 minutes or within 12 minutes. So if you wait just a hair to release, I'll tell you what, I can send you a message when we've got it live. If you want to time the release.
I mean, I can say I'd like to, because I'm going to start to edit it anyway, like to get this video up, right? We're going to get the whole video up and then a clip of you probably talking about the minute penalties. Like, I'm just going to start working on that stuff. And in the post, it'll say leaderboard updated shortly. And then, or unless it's done, I'll say leaderboard up, edited now.
Yeah, I got you. Man, I enjoyed our, that was a good back and forth. You need to go back. You need to go back and watch Decamile teams at World Championships and realize the gold that after that we were saying, wait a second, is this possibly the greatest event that we have in all the DECA organization? Decamile teams, if you go back and watch that freaking event, we had 7 or 8 insane badass cyborg teams going. And I remember Bethany like ping-ponging, like bumper tables going into the back of the zone and getting on the rower and all this stuff. And it was just, Alex Walker and Bethany running freaking like Usain Bolt speed around that damn arena and bombing in and out of zones. It was so freaking good. So we're actually talking with some sponsors about trying to hold maybe a special event where we really come in and bring some nice press and video capture and video creation for like YouTube type stuff for Decamile teams. It just teams in general. It's fun to watch.
Well, speaking of teams, I have some really good news for you.
Yeah.
I recently connected with the white Tommy Davidson, who is going to be 70 in a month, which means that he and I are in the plus 120 category. And it appears as though in the fit, you do not have a ton of teams in the plus 120. So I may be a DECA World Championship athlete. I'm coming anyway to do media, but good news for you.
Think about this at a DECA Fit event, and then at Worlds, there's 6 categories now for teams. There's the elite division, but for all 5 age groups, there's 3 awards categories: male, female, and co-ed. So pretend every single team and age group category had a top 3. In that case, we're not quite there yet, but we would give out 108 gold, silver, or bronze race batons. To your point, there are people, and we love this, there are people climbing up on a podium at DECA Fit for the teams divisions that they've never been on a podium before, but they legitimately earned it because and I love that we've got moms and dads. I've got a dad out there. He's in 3 different categories. He raced with his dad, so he's in like a 120 pluser. He raced with his friend, so he's in like the 89 to 90. And he raced with his son, so he's in the freaking 59 and under. How ridiculously cool is that?
Who's that? Let's give him a shout out.
So there you go.
Who's that?
Who's that? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We were just, I can't remember. I can't remember who that is.
Give him a shout
out. I was just looking at stats the other day. Damn it. Shout outs. Yeah. Shout out to freaking Jessica. She's the main shout out here because Polson, it didn't really affect Polson that much, but I want him to have his legit time leaderboard. One more shout out to Jessica. Thank you. I wish you could have heard the conversation we had back and forth. What a freaking sweetheart, man. Just the salt of the earth, great human. And that's how 99% of them are when dealt with adversity and the tensions get up and you're fighting for yourself. And then you realize here's the deal, folks. We are all in line. This is what I was thinking before I was walking down that aisle to give the eulogy. We are all in line. You're not getting out of the freaking line. Just wake up today and wake up tomorrow before you let your feet hit the floor. Say, I'm going to pinch the life out of every second I get today. That's what really matters. What can I do today to where people want me on the team? People want me there because of the type of human that I am. And that doesn't mean that we can't freaking buck up to each other and have our differences and really directly lay it on each other. But at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, you say, wait a second. Did I do everything I could do to be a great service to this beautiful rock of ours we call planet Earth? And that's what it's all about. I love that people show up and race. And I love that we're slowly on the path, best way to say it, to becoming a real awesome organized sport with high level competition. I love that we're on that path. And I shout out any other companies out there that freaking are on the path of doing it. It is hard, but it's fun, hard work. It really is fun, hard work. So just shout out to everybody that supported us over the past 4.5 years. I say it all the time. Everything we say and do 4.5 years ago, I was just like this. And when I pitched the idea to Joe, and Joe's like, hell, do it. Rock and roll. And then the whole time he's losing $75 million, he still supported our brand that was losing money the whole time until we hit about 275 affiliates. we were also losing money. And here you got the guy saying, you know what? I'm not going to declare Chapter 11. It's not the right thing to do. It's going to take forever and it's going to suck. Everybody's going to have to suck it up because it's going to be brutal. We're going to eventually get them all paid off. To me, I think that was that was an awesome thing to do. I don't think everybody would have done that, but he kept us going. And finally we're profitable. Finally we're doing well, but not a drop of this conversation, this podcast, not a drop of the 1,500 events, not a drop of the DecaFit events. None of it would be a conversation if he wouldn't have said yes and supported us during the most brutal freaking time ever. Shout out to Florida, dude. Florida, the only place on planet Earth we could build Deca during 2020. They were like, we don't know about this COVID thing going on. Come on down, build your brand down here. I was in and out of gyms down in
I was
Florida.
there, man. I was the first ever Deca mile in Jacksonville. I was there, brother.
I remember, dude. I remember. Jared and I were rolling up and down the coast, rolling into gyms, and we'd be like, a couple times I was shooting video, and I remember we accidentally posted some video. Not accidentally, I just posted some video. We had people from other states be like, what in the hell are you guys doing in a gym down there in Florida? What is going on? This is BS. You can't be in that gym right now. So anyway,
all right, listen, I do gotta get rolling, but one more question. When you saw Tony and Bert, did you tell him that Red Bar was watching?
No, I did not. But
do you know who that is?
No.
Do you know who Red Bar is?
No.
Who
or what is Red Bar?
Red Bar is this amazing YouTube guy who puts on these literally 7-hour shows, and he honestly picks apart a lot of comics and he makes a lot of good points. Sometimes he's goes a little too far, but he picks on Tony a lot. So anyway,
here's the deal. Here's the deal with that. Comedy may be the only thing that can save all this craziness we're dealing with. Because
I agree. You got to laugh, brother.
Kevin Hart said it best during that Tom Brady roast. Think about a roast for a second. Everybody's just hammering everybody, and they're all just. You got to take that, let it roll off the duck's back, and just have fun. And then afterwards, they're all love and hugs. Comedians, I follow comedy so close. I love it. They are the best at just. They're so freaking. They hammer themselves. They hammer everybody in the crowd. They hammer everybody. But it's comedy. It's just like Kevin Hart said at the roast. Everybody stop taking yourself so serious. And I lean on comedy. It's my medicine, man. It is my medicine.
Did you ever listen to my Mark Maron episode on WTF from last December?
I've heard of that. I've never listened to that. I got to listen to it. Is it because it's funny?
Well, our episode we get pretty real. I mean, it's funny, but our episode we bust each other's balls, and it kind of went south like it can sometimes, but we made up at the end. But go listen to it.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, Yancey, believe it or not, I do rub some people the wrong way. Believe it or not.
Yeah, you do. But I know you have a big heart at the end of the day. Yeah, there's been times where I wanted to line up like a linebacker and decleat your ass. It is what it is, man. But we love each other. You're an imperfect person. You're an imperfect person failing forward, just like every freaking one of us. So listen, man, thanks for the time. Thank you guys out there for believing in us and forgiving us. Most of you will forgive us. Some of you don't. That's fine as well. But for forgiving us, and I'm gonna say it right now, we will screw up again. Not that our staff even screwed up, but we will mess up again. It could be a shit show again. The shit show could hit us again, man. The soup sandwich, as we said in the military. And please, we'll do our best to work through it. But man, this doesn't exist without you, rock stars. Your setup's a little weird. It's backwards. None of this exists. So it's all about celebrating fitness for the masses. And we love y'all. We appreciate you. Live, love, laugh, and serve big with big focus on the serve, and do every freaking thing you can do to light up the planet today, my friends. We're gonna end with this toast. How cool is it to be Spartan Race and be at a start line when you can give this toast, because it's just who it is. It's freaking Bert and Tom and Jelly Roll and all these comedians that you're launching out on a 5K, right? Where I can grab the mic and say, here's the lying, cheating, stealing, and drinking, because a lot of you are going to be drinking right after this 5K on the Rose Bowl floor. Lying to save your ass, cheating the hands of death, stealing the hearts of the ones you love, and always, always drinking with your friends. So that was how cool is it that you can be in a race and give that toast before you send people off at a 5K? Much love, brother.